you all so much for joining us at our Georgia Partnership for Excellence in Education Forum. And today we're really embarking in some new areas relating to, as we would say, we've worked real hard in early learning. We're beginning to get our children ready to read by 3rd grade, absolutely excelling in math and science at 8th grade, getting them into high school, all the access, completing high school. We're all saying, yes, 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 we're getting there. Now we want them in college, ready for college, staying in college, completing college, ready for life and career. So as we say, right, Bobby, starting early, but that we never do finish until we get that full journey for every child. We always like to say for every child in Georgia. So we're thrilled to welcome you today. I'm Ann Kramer, and many of you have heard me say this before. I have 2 best jobs. One is the job that I fortunately get paid for with the IBM Corporation as its Director for the Americas for Corporate Citizenship and Corporate Affairs. And a favorite job is as chair of the Georgia Partnership for Excellence in Education, which for all of us, and many of you know I have been away a lot since January of this year, in fact every week, I think a minimum of 4 days. But in those places that I get to go within the North America or America's geography, it is so much fun to not only hear the positive comments and compliments about what's going on in education in Georgia, but even more specifically about the role and the extraordinary impact that the Georgia Partnership is making. And I hear that from our colleagues in the early learning community, at the U.S. Chamber, within all kind of education circles, as well as within the nonprofit arena. So it's so fun, especially among our business colleagues. I was talking to Cammie just a minute ago, and I was at a conference board meeting in New York 2 weeks ago. As Jane says, I live in serendipity, and sit with all of the major corporations in the world at the table, and our focus is on education. And always it's like, well, Ann, you know, it's one thing to tell us about what you do at IBM, but what's going on in Georgia? You're always leading like core curriculum and race to the top. So it's really fabulous to be able to report on your work. So thank you for being here. Today, we have a very special announcement from our friends and colleagues at General Electric. And it is a joy for me to introduce to you our president, Steve Dolinger, who will bring with him our colleague, and I'm so glad to see you, hey John Loomis, who is vice president for HR at GPEE. Please come forward.
I guess I'll start with the comment that it's just awesome listening to the introductions going around the room here. To see the breadth of interest from our education professionals, administrative professionals, policy professionals at the state and local governments, all focused on excellence in education. I just think it's extremely energizing, and it's why GE is prepared today to make a significant contribution to the Georgia Partnership for Excellence in Education in the amount of $25,000. Just a couple of quick comments. I think it's wonderful when I think of the mix of people that there's such a focus on the development within this group of great policy, great education policy. And I'd want to underscore great education policy with consistent education policy, because we at GE think that is so important in terms of long-term student achievement. It's that consistency that provides great curriculum design, but a number of you had strategy in your topics, in your titles. And I think that strategy piece is the ability to really look out from consistency, stability, and strategy that allows funders like General Electric to get so excited about investing in organizations like this, and quite frankly, in our students in the great state of Georgia. Because as a company that ultimately is going to be the end user of student achievement, student development, we think that that long-term strategy is what's so important in order for us to get behind and be a significant funder, because we can see a stable path to a clear outcome. And when you think about that, it's great student achievement, It's what gets funders like GE and a number of others in this room to rally behind students, faculty, administration, the state, and helping fund where we can great student development. And I think that leads to community support. Community support where they see a strategy, where they see a combined commitment to our future, so alive within the education systems within Georgia. And I think ultimately that leads to proud parents. Parents that are going to be involved, to be supporting on the home front the efforts of their own children, but more importantly, the efforts of everybody in this room and the teachers back in the classrooms to just develop a great product, which is a well-educated student. So thank you so much for what you're doing. We're very, very pleased to be a part of it, and look forward to continuing to work with all of you as we go forward on this exciting journey. So thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for joining us today. This is an exciting program. We've had a lot of talk over the years about the birth work pipeline. You know, that's part of our shtick. We talk about that whole birth work pipeline. We've had a lot of conversations on the early end of that, on pre-K. In fact, we've had a couple of sessions here where we looked at research. We even brought in an economist from Northwestern University, talked about that early investment value on early education. Today we're going to take a little bit of a look at the end of that pipeline. There's been a lot of conversation around the country. There are things going on in Georgia, but you know we always go to, okay, so what? What are we doing in Georgia, and what work is left to be done? Let me walk you through your folders real quickly. Of course, you can see the agenda and what we have going here. You know our style is to not take more of your time this morning to go through extensive bios, so we give you copies of those. Those are the dark tan sheets that are in here, so you can read those and know the background experiences. You'll see why we brought these national and local speakers to you this morning. They have a breadth of knowledge. Our 19th, yeah, can you believe that? 19th annual bus trip across Georgia. You can see our theme this year is going to be coming again in October, but we're still looking for nominations. So if you know schools that are really doing well, the two purposes of the bus trip, remember, one is to pat these schools in the back that are doing so well, and the second is to replicate those strategies back across the state. And we've got a good history of cross-pollinating those programs and putting them back out across Georgia. Nominations are still open until next Monday, April 25th, so please get those in. Since the last year or two, we've been pretty much around the metro area, basically because of our themes of IE squared and charter systems and charter schools. We're going to go out across the state again this coming fall, and we'll be in Mid-East and Southeastern Georgia. So think about your nominations to target those areas. Also, if you'd like to get on our distribution list, make sure you get announcements for programs like this, or our media blasts, or other information, our publications. Fill this out and leave it on the table outside, and we'll be glad to share that with you. I want to go back for a second and again thank GE, John, and Kemi Louise, who is here also at GE, for sponsoring the EPFP program this year. There are applications outside that are available. We are just wrapping up our third class, and you heard several people this morning introduce themselves as EPFP alum. In fact, we have several people, some in the audience today, who are alum from other states. About 20 states have an EPFP program. Fellows, alum and current class, stand up just so we can see who you are in the room real quickly. About a round of applause for these folks. Well, some states have their fellows class that would be more educators, but ours reflects the partnership. So it's business, government, education, community leaders. We would suggest that you apply or ask someone you know who might really be interested in this program. If you've been through Leadership Atlanta, Leadership Georgia, those kind of programs, the day that focus on education, that's what we do for the whole year. Bring in some great speakers, both sides of the aisle, so we have some good conversation, look at issues, and then, like we always do, what's the so what for Georgia. But thank you again for GE for helping to sponsor this program and give us that big check this morning. There's some other of our documents outside. You saw the Economics of Education. Thanks to Chris Clark and the Georgia Chamber for partnering with us on that. That has really gotten legs across Georgia. In fact, sometimes communities will actually hear the economics of education, will ask us to come back and dive more deeply into community strategic planning. We're doing that now in Forsyth. We've got Lumpkin and Dawson are interested. We've worked in Troop and Elbert and Butts County. Counties that want to bring everyone in the community together to really look at that birth to work pipeline and see what they can do to make education stronger, the workforce stronger, and then their local economy stronger. But the other document out there I want to talk about for just a minute is our top 10 issues to watch. They're not the only issues, but if you reflect back over the General Assembly, some of these were the big issues, and they're not in priority order. And if you read these, you'll see that they really are kind of intertwined. The data system, for example, with teacher quality and so on. There's a new piece in here this year, back to that so what, and looking at metrics, and our business partners particularly, and our landlords, the Georgia Chamber, like to look at metrics that drive our economy. So we looked at top 10 indicators. What does Georgia have to do to change our brand that we're last? What could we do to be in the top 20? And we picked 10 categories and would give you the state that is 20th and where Georgia is and what we need to do to improve that. Again, it was hard to come down to 10 metrics, but it does take that birth to work pipeline. And we've talked a lot about low birth weight babies, our friends at the Family Connection Partnership, NEKC data. We talk about readiness for school with pre-K. We talk about literacy by 3rd grade, math skills by 8th grade, high school graduation. But all of a sudden the conversation's expanded beyond that. It's not just high school graduation, it's college access. It's not just college access, it's college retention. It's not just college retention, it's college completion. And we have in here some metrics. Graduation rate from 2-year colleges in 3 years, we're ranked 25th. Graduation rates from 4-year colleges in 6 years, we're ranked 36th. Adults 25 and older with bachelor's degree, back in 2009, we were ranked 21st. Not bad. Well, what can we do to get better in all those categories? And that's our focus today. Not a lot of conversation that we've had with community leaders, so today's our chance.